We get to kind of look a little bit at what's been blocking our manifestation from coming through, what's been blocking the things that we've desired from coming into our lives, what's holding us back. And so often we have these huge dreams of what we would love to create and what we would love to do. And amongst those dreams, we forget that we still have a human side of ourselves. And that human side of ourselves a lot of times will be that voice in the back of our head that says, are you sure you can really do this? Like, what makes you think that you get to have this? What makes you think that you can actually do that? Like, you haven't done that before. You haven't received it before. Why now versus all the times before? And so in this video, I'm just going to be talking a little bit to that shadow side, to the doubts, to the fears, to the reasons why we don't let ourselves have everything we desire. One of the very first reasons that we stop ourselves is because we have the belief that because I haven't already gotten this thing, I can't actually get it. We get stuck into using our mind to understand the programming of everything that has happened before is exactly what will happen again. And the first way we debunk this is by understanding that just because something happened before doesn't necessarily mean it will happen in the future. And the main reason for that is because when things occur in our life along our timelines, those timelines actually change as we change. So as we evolve and learn and finally get the lesson, we're able to move forward and see something different, take a different action, take a different step. Just because we've been hurt every single time in the past and every single man we've ever loved has cheated on us does not mean that every single man that we ever love in the future will also cheat on us. That's my personal story. It doesn't. What it actually means is once we understand the warning signs, we understand the energies we're sending out, we understand what went into play to create that scenario, then we can move forward going, okay, this was a warning sign, this was a red flag, oh, right there, right there, right there. These are the indicators that I will get this result that I hate. So therefore, I'm gonna choose something different. And sometimes choosing something different is even just choosing different than what you've done every time. So for example, I'm just gonna share my story because that's what I know when it comes to love. So yes, every single man I ever dated cheated on me. Like, that was the easy part. Like, I've had men be very physically abusive with me, and we'll just kind of leave it at that. Very abusive relationships in the past. And in those abusive relationships, I didn't understand that I could have something different because I felt like I was damaged goods. And over having time being alone and saying, no, actually, I choose opposite. I choose nothing, because nothing is better than feeling this yucky stuff that I've been feeling. So therefore I choose absence. Even by choosing absence, I'm choosing an opposite. I'm creating a different timeline and a different trajectory. So then move forward and I meet somebody that I'm like, hey, I would love to expand this. What can I change differently so that I can get what I want? Because we can think of a list of reasons why we didn't get what we want, but sometimes we don't know what to do to get what we want. So in this case, I did the opposite of everything that I had ever done before. So for example, we bumped into each other, literally ran into each other on St. Patrick's Day. And the next day, like, I didn't give him my number or anything. And the next day I was like, normally I would just have either given him my number, so I'm not giving him my number. And then I even went back to, and normally I wouldn't pursue you, I would just move on. But instead, I'm going to open a door. And so I found him on Facebook and I messaged him something snarky. Not even, hey, I had a really great time, because that's usually what I would do. It was something really snarky. I said, my baby toe hurts because some asshole stepped on it playing basketball. And I left it at that. And then he responded, oh, I hope your toe's okay, but it was really nice to meet you. And I said, okay, it is the right guy. Number one. Number two, let's do something different. And so as our relationship progressed, each time I was presented with a new opportunity, I had a chance to shift my thinking. And I remember the big pivotal moment where I chose something completely different because of the pain I had felt. I was convinced that I could not have what I wanted. Other people could have what they wanted, but I couldn't. Like, I was broken, I already messed up. I'm already too old or too squishy or too isolated to actually get what I want. And so at that point, in our relationship, we had been dating for a little while, And he actually was sitting there and he said, "Hey, Hollie, I really am falling in love with you." And I remember where my brain went. And after about 30 seconds of silence and my face doing this, he said, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, why?" And he's like, "Because you're not saying anything and your face is going like this." And seriously, that's what was happening as the wind picks up. What was happening inside was I was going, "Wait a minute, he says he loves me. Well, let me look at when this man said he loved me. Is this relevant here? No. Okay, unravel. Let's look at this one. Is this relevant? No. Unravel. Okay, let's look at this one. Is this relevant? No. Unravel." So I was unraveling all of these beliefs, all these things. Well, how can he really love me? We've only been dating this long. Let's look at the belief systems. And it was like I pulled in all of these different beliefs and I allowed myself, well, that's not true. Well, that's not true. Well, that's not true. And so I was processing. So no, I didn't say I loved him back. I said, "I adore you." And I do love him now, and I tell him this. And what it was I had to have that moment within myself where I said, okay, let's name everything of the past that is being triggered by this. Let's name what's going on. So if there's something coming up for you that you really desire, take a moment and write down, what am I afraid is going to happen again? What are the warning signs that's going to happen again? How is this scenario going to be different? Like, something has to be different. And in this case, the difference was, it was a different person. I was only around this person because I chose to. I felt complete all by myself, and actually I preferred being single. So the challenge was choosing into a relationship for me at that point, because it'd been something I wanted and something I looked forward to, but it hadn't been something that I actually believed or put any effort towards. It was like effortless intention, which we're also going to talk about. And so as I dove into that, I allowed all those past things to unravel, because each time you have a tragedy or a pain or something that you really hate or something that you got and you lost, each time you're learning and you're evolving. The person you are right this second is not the person you were 10 years ago, right? It's not the person you were 20 years ago. It's not even the person you were 1 year ago. It's not even the person you were yesterday. We evolve each day. We gain just a little bit and a little bit and a little bit. And if you've stopped evolving, that means you're in shutdown mode. And so we need to talk about that. And that's because you have stopped dreaming. And so that's where the flower essence comes in, to help those dreams to kick in, to help those dreams and visions to start dancing around. Sometimes we don't know what we want. And that's the next part we're going to talk about, is those intentions, and especially creating easy intentions where you don't have to always think about it to bring it. So many times I remember having vision boards and affirmations and I would say, I am so excited that I was a director of Mary Kay, and I got the free car and all the things many years ago. And I remember every day I would say all day long, I am so excited that I am finally a top selling director in Mary Kay. It makes me so happy that my children and I can drive around. And I would drive in my car, and it wasn't the nicest car, and to me it was like kind of embarrassing. Even though it was a beautiful car, easy to drive, it just wasn't a nice car. And of course this was 18 years ago, and so, or 16 or whatever, times time. And so I would drive in my car, and I would have a picture of the car I wanted and I was earning, and as I would drive I would say these affirmations and I would pour them in. But the hard part is, what was happening is I didn't realize, and if this works for you, please do it. Absolutely. Talk about what you want to yourself and envision that, if that works for you. For me, it made me sad because it wasn't here yet. And so I decided to shift it. And I decided, instead of doing vision boards, I would do gratitude boards. And this way I was able to do unconscious manifestation and unconscious intention. It is very conscious, but I'm just not actively thinking about it. And it's like, oh, this is coming. I'm thankful that this is coming. I'm going to go think a new thought over here. And so what I did was I took a grid, and I took a poster board and I scored it like a tic-tac-toe. Okay, so you have 9 sections. In each of the 9 sections, I was able to put pictures of things I either had that I was grateful for, or that I knew were inevitable to come someday. If you want, you can put dates on them. For me, it's really, wind, as my drum drums. That's so funny. Apparently we need a drum. For me, I had to have the open intention of being grateful for things to come and allow them to come in their time. Sometimes we get antsy and we get rushed because I want to be married and have my babies by this time because my ovaries are drying up and there ain't going to be any kids in there. Well, sometimes things work out better than we plan. And if we put a limit and a time on it, then things aren't able to work out in that time frame. That's the fullest expansion that exists, is that little time frame. So by doing a gratitude board, and for me, by removing those dates, I was able to freely enjoy the thought of having it, kind of like using your imagination. That's why this flower essence is visions and daydreams, because daydreaming is so beautiful. Like right now, I was taking a moment and meditating and literally looking up at the trees and just daydreaming. I couldn't even tell you what I was thinking about. I was just a little girl in a forest thinking about the birds. But what that does is it puts my heart in the space of gratitude. So what am I gonna get more? Oh, hopefully more leaves. The tree I'm under is an apricot tree, and maybe this year will be the year she decides to give us an abundance of fruit again, because we haven't had very much fruit on her for the last few years. And if not, I enjoy her shade and I enjoy her stories and her fairy portals that she has. So in this vision board, I have 9 sections, and I'll go through each of those sections. And so allowing yourself to tune into the section, tune into any places in your body you feel an emotion when I start talking about it, writing it down. So definitely take notes with this one. So we're gonna go through and I'll list each of the sections to put either a statement, a color, a picture, a word that feels empowering, and you're gonna write it in that section. Even if this is just on a piece of paper, it doesn't have to be a big, huge poster. For me, I have mine on a big poster, board poster, and I don't like clutter because clutter and chaos to me equal kind of like the darkness. It's the opposite of the light. And so even though sometimes things are a little chaotic, I try and make it less chaotic, less noisy energetically. And so for me, what I chose to do is I take my poster board with all of my pictures of everything I'm creating and I have it up on my ceiling, right above my bed. So as I go to sleep at night, it's the last thing I see. As I wake up in the morning, it's the first thing I see. As I open my eyes while I'm making love, I am looking at that and thinking gratitude. And then we get into sex alchemy, which is a whole other part, but it ties in with this kit because it has the snake energy, which is the Kundalini life force that weaves through our bodies, which we'll talk about a little bit more with our kit. And so we want that passive intention, the intention that comes just out of pure bliss and pure joy. The closer we can get to bliss and out of that scarcity and out of that fear, the closer we're going to be able to get towards what we want, because what we want already is on its way. And I know there's so many cliche sayings like, what you desire is already yours and on its way to you. It's actually true, because if it wasn't yours, why would you want it? And some people get stuck in the right or wrong or good or bad, or is it okay that I want this thing? And it's like, if you want it, do you usually have good intentions? Is your heart a light? Do you want people to be happy? Do you want to be happy? Do you try and do things that make people more happy and bring more joy? Okay, then your intentions probably are going to be the right choice. Sometimes we're choosing between two goods, or good, better, and best, and we get so hung up on which is the best. Well, if we move forward, we can always change our mind. And so often the way we move towards what we want is always a zigzag. I don't think I've ever went, this is what I want. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, step 17, got it. Never happened. So usually it's, oh, I want this. Okay, we're gonna go over here, and then you're gonna have this whole unraveling happen, and then you're gonna go beeline over here, zigzag around here, hop a few times, then you'll have a moment of stillness and rest and recuperation. And then we're gonna rip the floor underneath from you, and then you'll go backwards and you'll think you're at square one, but you're actually not, because you gained all this wisdom and you allowed time to circulate around you and certain pieces to fall into place. And now, ding, 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 there it is. And now it's time to grow again, and we're gonna go over here and we'll zigzag over here. So it's kind of that zigzag principle, because as you are moving towards what you want, you're still moving forward even if you're doing this. All right? So allowing ourselves that removal of expectation and the removal of the past pulling us back and saying, oh, this won't work because it didn't work before. That's BS, because if it didn't work, well, then it might work this time. Now, if you do the exact same things, then it might not work. We need to know what to adjust. And so taking the time to evaluate, why did that happen? What could I have done differently? And be careful in this one, and just be very, very mindful as you do go through this process of deciding what you want and what you're clearing, because so many times we blame ourselves for things that aren't our fault, especially when it comes to abuse. In my abusive relationships, it's interesting because I did a lot of work around it. Like, obviously you have to do a lot if you've been through a lot. And in the work that I did around it, I found that when it got to the point of, I was doing Ho'oponopono Ono one time, and I had one of my abusers in front of me, energetically. And I was supposed to say, I'm sorry. And I was like, what? I don't need to apologize for anything. Like, he burned my face with a pan. He strangled me. He stabbed me. No, I don't need to apologize. You are a sick man and you're broken and yeah. And then the higher law comes into play, and it was, oh, wait a minute. Let me take some ownership here. And I went, oh, number one, I allowed it. Ooh, some really big B's. There's B energy community. Well, number one is I allowed it. And number two is I sometimes antagonized it. And I had to own that part. Like, I knew his triggers, and inside I had this raging anger. And so there were times where I pushed just a little bit, or I was a little bit snarky or a little bit sassy. Now, it doesn't mean I deserved what I got. No. But it does mean that I played my own role. And if I understand that, then I can claim that and say, yep, that's my role. And I have learned. Thank you so much. I won't be doing that again because I choose healthy relationships and partnerships. Think over on that shelf in my little book of learning. So allowing ourselves to say, where was my role in this? So another piece is when he started becoming abusive, there were red flags, like separating me from my friends, making me feel like crap, and then making me feel really good about myself, and then making me feel like crap. So I was always trying to earn this sense of approval from him. And so looking at that, okay, so from now on, we don't allow ourselves to earn approval from people. If we feel people don't approve of us, we go where we're celebrated, not tolerated. That was one of my hardest lessons ever. And so if one of your manifestations has to do with people, whether or not it's love or even partnerships or healing family or creating a family, that's going to be a huge piece, is to look at, okay, well, where's my role in all of this? Like, am I going into dating relationships expecting them to be flawed, looking and nitpicking at the first chance I have to run? Because if so, I'm going to find it, because that's my expectation. So that's actually my manifestation. So we're just getting really deep into exactly what your manifestation is. So we're going to go through all 9 of the sections. So in Feng Shui, these are also relevant there too. And it's actually where it started was I took my board and I made it a Feng Shui board. I just felt guided by spirit, and then I couldn't say this is what I want because that made me feel like there was a deficit. So instead I said, this is what I'm grateful for. And so I put something in all the sections, but then I noticed there were blanks in 2 sections. One was money and one was love. And I was like, oh, these are the areas I'm ignoring, is money and love. So if there are sections where you draw a blank, that's okay. Just maybe write love or money or whatever the section is, help in that square, and then come back to it. Because as you tune in and as you get clear and go through these meditations, you're going to understand more of what needs to be filled in there. For me, it was all about fear and belief. So I didn't believe that I can have an abundance of money. It was like, just make enough to feed your babies. Just make enough to feed your babies. And that's not true, because we don't ever have enough until we have enough that we can give back. And so in my belief system now. And also in love, I just didn't believe it existed, because I moved to a tiny rural town that's mostly college kids and retired people. And so it didn't have a whole lot of single market. And I knew the moment I purchased my house that it was the place I was supposed to be. And I remember I had a conversation with Spirit. Okay, as my drum, ding, my conversation with Spirit was, are you willing to pay the price of love to find your nest. And I was like, yes, absolutely. And so that was the higher priority for me. So as you go through these, you may have some things that are higher priority than others, and you may not see how they can all mix together. Remember, this is a gratitude board, and so that you can vision and you can daydream and you can think about how fun it would be when you do have it. You don't have to have everything all at once. Life is like a buffet. Like, it's provided all at once, sure, but you don't go and load up 16 plates all in the same round. You take one plate up first. Ooh, what do I want first? Some of this, some of this, some of this. And then you try a few things. Some things are weird and you wish you didn't pick them up, and you throw it away because you can. And they're gonna throw it away anyway, so you don't have to feel guilty for it. And then you go through and you try something different. You try something new. Or, ooh, I really love this. I want more of this. I've done that. Go and get lots of stuff, and I can out-eat my sweetheart, just saying, when we go to our favorite buffet. And usually I get like the same thing over and over again because I really love it and I want lots of it. But if I ever change my mind, I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to feel like a loser. I'm not going to mourn not picking up the thing that I didn't really desire to eat more of. I tried it, wasn't for me, moving on. Or, you know what? I see it, that does look delicious, but this also looks delicious, and so that's actually what I want. So allowing yourself to say, okay, I'm at the buffet. What do I get to have right now? You do get to have it all. You just don't have it all in the same sitting, okay? So hopefully going through this will help to clarify what, ooh, I said clarify, not clarify. You caught that? Good job. Holly says words weird sometimes. And if it helps clarify, so clear out some space of what you want and clarify of what you actually want, then we did our job. So it would be a really good time to put some of that flower essence just underneath your tongue. Just 4 drops, or you can do up to a few extra if you feel like you want to let it sit in your mouth extra long. Just make sure you drink water before, because you don't want to drink water after you put it, because you want it to soak in and get right into your bloodstream. So you're going to dive in. So the very first section, so if you take your paper and you do a tic-tac-toe, the very first, I'm going to start in the bottom right corner looking at your paper. So yours would be on this side. So the bottom right corner is your helpful people place. So helpful people, angels, and I also consider it spirit connection. So what is it that you're wanting to create or manifest with your spiritual connection? What is it that you want to increase? So for me, one of my goals that I have in that one, I have speakers and people who have done things that I want to do, or they have books that have helped me move through things, and I love the influence that they have. So I have a picture of people that have influenced me for good. In my bedroom, I have it all Feng Shui'd, and in that section, I have objects. So you can even do objects if you want. If you want to really just pull some intention in, you can put extra focus just in one section at a time. I'm not saying do all 9 and build chaos and confusion. If you have the time, great. But most of us, we just have one step at a time that we want to focus on. And this is a gratitude, remember. So I put things that have already happened that I love and I celebrate, and also things that are coming. So I do have, in my room, I have like goddesses, and I have Jesus in there. I have spiritual books. I have my oracle cards and my tarot cards in that section of my room, because those are all helpful tools. So what are some tools that you're bringing in? If you feel like you need a drum and you don't have one yet, then maybe you can put, I'm grateful that I get to have a drum one day, and you get to put a drum on there. So either words or pictures, or you can do a few versions and let it evolve, but something there that indicates this is my helpful people, this is my spiritual connection, and tuning into all of that. Okay. Also noting, as I speak of this, where you feel it in your body. Are you feeling it up here in the top of your head, so it's more of a spiritual alignment, or are you feeling it down in your feet around rooting and grounding? So just make a note of where you feel it. And you may feel it like in your creative core, because it's like, oh, punch in the stomach, I wish I had more help. Taking a note of anything that's coming up right now. The next section is going to be the middle, and these are based on, from the bottom of your page. So the bottom middle, if you're doing Feng Shui, it's where your door is. It's the center of the wall that the door is on. So the bottom middle is going to be your career and your success. So Do you have a business that you've been working on and you want a new business goal? Write the goal down. Is there using something that you haven't been using that you want to use? Is there something that you want to create and sell and it helps people? Is there a new idea that you're trying to find an answer to that you want to spread out into the world? Does it have to do with being a parent and you just want to heal something or make something easier? Maybe you want to be more organized and be known for that. Is there something in your community that you serve with that would help magnify? That's where you're going to put this. So for me and my poster, I should have grabbed my poster now that I think about it, but it just felt so good outside. And I manifest being able to be outside. So for me, I remember, and the poster I literally have up there, I've had up there for like 3 years, I think it's been up there for 3 years. Like I even have a picture of a drum as career. And 3 years ago, I wasn't as well known with the drums. I was known with the healing word. And that's definitely like come into the forefront. I also have pictures of my books there because that's what part of my career and what I put out there. And so if there's somebody who is industry known for helping you with your career or your success, and it's what you consider success, then you can add a picture of that person or their name. So I have a picture of Oprah, just saying, still waiting for her to show up physically. But sometimes I daydream about us hanging out and the conversations we'll have. Sometimes we've had conversations in dreams, and I was really starstruck and stuttered a lot. So I am learning to daydream about that, so when I do meet her, I know what I'm going to say. I'm going to be able to talk about how she inspired me when I was a little girl, that all the stories that didn't work out, that were really hard and heavy, were made into a great inspiring story through taking a trauma and turning it into a triumph that can inspire others. That was something that was programmed in me from very young, and it is part of my career. So that's why she gets to be in that section. I'm very thankful for that lesson that Oprah gave me. But then I'm also thankful for one day being able to complete the cycle and explain all this to her. So something in there that says, hey, I've already got this, and hey, I'm grateful that this is coming. Again, we want it as if it's already here and we're not lying to ourselves or convincing ourselves or saying anything that doesn't fit. You know when it doesn't fit because you can feel it in your body. So this one is the belly area is where I feel it in my body. Again, you can feel it in different places because emotions like to go everywhere, but that's where I feel it in the belly, or in my elbows and my wrists, because I do a lot of works with my elbows and my wrists. And so work, if you think about it, career, work, it's very, very similar. Okay. The next section is the bottom left. And in this bottom left corner, that's going to be your wisdom and your knowledge. So for me, I tie a lot of that to ancestor wisdom, even though there's a family section too. But those who have passed on that continue to visit me and give me information and even just encouragement, you know, to heal. We're healing generations of family trauma and lines. And if you're watching this, you're a light worker that's doing the same. And so in that section, I have my books, my earth medicine reference books, my symbolism books. I have, I put sea turtles and tortoises in that section on my poster because I'm grateful for the wisdom and the animal medicine that the tortoise gives us. And so that's going to remind me of what I'm creating and continuing to cultivate is that wisdom piece. Then if we move, so think about what is it you want to learn? What is it that you want to be better at? What knowledge would you like to gain? Have you been wanting to go to school? This is the section you're going to put it in the bottom left. Have you been wanting to receive some type of a download or some type of a new skill? That's where you're going to put that. Okay. So if that's your manifestation, then great. You're going to put that in your bottom left. Okay. Then we're going to go to our middle section. So in the middle section, right there in the dead center is your health. What are you so grateful for with your health? What are you increasing with your health? So for a lot of times I'll put like yellows and sunshine, really bright colors. That's going to help this middle section. So the yellow in that one is going to be powerful. So this is where you get your grounding. A lot of times if I'm Feng Shuiing, which now it seems like I'm teaching you Feng Shui in this video too, which I guess it was inspired, so we're just gonna roll with it, is lots of pottery, lots of pots, terracotta, earth elements, clay, dirt, flowers, plants, right there in the section. So your health. What are your health goals? What are you wanting to manifest? Do you want to love your body deeper? Do you have some weird physical thing that's been struggling? Do you want to manifest actually honoring your body and going to yoga class that you haven't been to in a long time? That was my manifestation, and I'm so excited that I started going. And I kept saying, I need to keep going, I need to keep going, and then I didn't. And finally somebody said, hey, you should come. And I'm like, you know what, I mean to, but I need to honor my body and actually like move my butt and go do that thing rather than waiting for it to come to me. And then she gave me free passes to go try her class. So I was like, oh, easy, I'll take it. So really grateful for body movement. Maybe dance. This is where dance would fit in. If you want to dance more, if you need to play more, if you need more sunshine, what are you manifesting there? If you need more clean air and you're going to go hiking more, or you want to have an opportunity to have space and time that you can go do those things. What if you want to eat healthier and have foods more readily available or easier recipes? That's where you're going to do it, is in this middle section. Noticing in your body, where you get this, where you feel it. The next section is going to be over on the left middle. So the left middle is your family. So this one is family tree. It's your heritage. It's what are you giving to your family? So parents, siblings, even your own children, what in your family is your thing you're trying to manifest? Maybe you're trying to manifest healing. Maybe you're trying to manifest, I have a friend who they're struggling with the passing away of one parent and the other parent into a retirement center, and now you have the home and the possessions and all of those things. So manifesting ease of transition between objects and homes and selling a house and all that entails. That's all going to go there. So all your ancestor wisdom, everything you're manifesting there with your ancestors and your physical family go there. Now I know I mentioned I put my ancestor wisdom in a different spot, but it's 100% what intuitively you feel called to. All of these are just a language. So pick the language and the words that fit you and resonate with you. Okay. Next section, if we're still in the middle, it's going to be in the middle right. That's your creativity section. So that one is your section where it's rainbow colors, it's musical instruments, it's where I would store my drums. It's where you're going to store art that little ones have done for you. It's where you're going to store your art supplies if you do art. So what is a creative piece or artistic endeavor that you want to bring in? Do you want to start painting more? Do you want, maybe you already paint and you want to go deeper with your paintings and then move them to your career so that people will buy your paintings. What do you want to create there? So that's your creative core. Like, what are you making? If you're an author, if you write poetry, this is also a section where you're going to put something that inspires you to continue creating, to continue going. What specifically are you wanting to manifest? And what are you grateful for that you already have? And so I put animals that inspire my creativity. So I have like a lotus and I have a peacock and lots of rainbow stuff. And then in my room, I put art that my kids have done, even youthful childlike books. All my fairy tale books are stored right there. Okay, so then the next section is the top sections. So we have our top right, and in our top right, that's our relationship section. So this one, I always love putting 2 of everything I put in this section if you're going to do a visual, because 2 symbolize partnership. If there's 3, you have a love triangle. If there's 1, you're all by yourself. And maybe that is the relationship with yourself and you just want 1. But these are going to be your pinks, your greens, lush reds if you want reds, but just think of more pastels, so it's the softer side. And this section is where we put, what kind of partner do you want? Do you need a new business partner? Do you need a new romantic partner? Do you feel like you want to just up your sex life? Like, what is going on in this section? Writing that down. For me, it's funny because I put, and this is before I met my sweetheart that I put these up, just FYI. I put a picture of 2 wolves running in the snow. And because I really like the idea of a pack and you're a team. I also put a picture, there was like an illustration of a man and a woman playing in the shore of a ocean shore. and playing in the waves, and it said on the same wavelength. And I was like, yes, I'm so grateful that the people who show up in my life are on the same wavelength, or they exit really fast. And so that created an experience for me and an understanding for me. Yeah, I'm like, oh, so good. And it's funny because New Year's and my birthday, we went down to Florida to visit Rick. And while we were down there, we played in the shoreline, and I was playing in the water even though it was cold, and he came out and he grabbed me, and I realized when we got home, I looked at that picture and I was like, oh my gosh, we physically did that picture. That's exactly the way I was standing, and that's exactly the way you were standing, and we were just like a little bit farther apart because I was like, come into the water, let's go disappear, mermaid land. And he's like, it's cold and you're crazy, but I'm here and I love you. And so we never know how many levels of manifestation are going on with these. So put something that you actually want, and not, ooh, I don't want this negative thing, and so I'm going to choose this positive. Like, put in something that is in alignment. And I know I keep saying that, but because it's really important. And the next one is the middle top. So in the middle top is your fame and reputation. So it's what you want to be known for. This is your fire spot. So this is like reds and orange. It's your fuel. This is what I want to be seen. Please see this, people, because this is me. And so putting that in that powerful section is going to be really, really strong for you. For me, I have, I think I mostly talk about author stuff. So there's like books and focusedness. That's funny because I'm not feeling focused all of a sudden. I'm like squirrel, bird. But focused intention, aligned words, and it matches a lot of who I want to be. Authenticity is up there really big. I want people to know me as being authentic because I think it's easier for all of us if we just show up without all of our masks. And then we have our top left. And in our top left, that's going to be your money section. Where do you want your money to look like? Like, this is where you can give it a number. For me, I did put money. I love money. Money comes with ease. I love that I'm paid for the things that I love. I don't think it gets better than that. I don't want to whore myself out and get money for that, doing things that don't serve me or serve you. I want to get paid for doing things that serve both of us. And so continuing that energy. And so I made it like there's a woman with books, like they're balloons, and she's flying because I was really focused on my first book when I put it up there, but I'm still always writing, and I have another book that's in process, so it'll be done soon. And again, I will float through the air with my books. So the money, allowing that, and that color is actually gold. Yes, you can use green if you'd like, but gold is really, really good too. So because gold is universal. And so those are the main sections for if you want to make a vision board in a grid. Another way you can get your manifestation very clear and focused with intention is to do a letter. So it's really funny because I did this all the time. This was like taught to me by some mentors, and I would write a letter to a friend. And this friend, I would make up a name, and I would say, oh my goodness, I'm so excited with my life. This is exactly what I have. There is a lot of life vision creation that comes through when we pull the emotion into the experience. So don't get too hung up on the specifics of how it looks and what you're describing. Instead, focus on the emotion you're feeling as you go through it. So in my letter case, I went through and I went through all the 9 areas. So I started with helpful people. What people are showing up to help me? I'm so excited. I had people who showed up to help me, and I should have grabbed my letter and just read it to you. You'd probably find it hilarious. But at the time I was a makeup artist, and so I talked about how people showed up, photographers showed up that wanted to hire me to do their makeup for beautiful photo shoots. And I wrote about how anytime I need support, if I need help with a child, or I need a meal, or I need some advice, there's always the perfect person there at the right time. And it makes me feel so loved and so seen and so understood. And I'm so grateful to have friends always available when I need them and to be available for those friends. So that was my helpful people something along those lines. The next one's the career. I talked about my career goals, and I'm so excited that I got my car with Mary Kay, and that I'm able to drive for free, and that we have the beautiful smooth leather seats, and I've never had a brand new car, and I feel so safe in my car. It's not gonna break down on me. I feel like I can transport anywhere, and I can always fit friends. So I always get to drive and enjoy it and blast my music, and it just makes my heart feel so free because I have a sunroof that opens up and the wind blows in my hair and the sun sparkles in my eyes, and I love it. So you see what I'm doing? I'm creating all of this emotion in there. And go through each of the sections. Wisdom, I'm excited, I'm learning this new thing, and I have learned that new thing, and it made me feel this way. My health is going so well. I eat what my body tells me to eat intuitively, and I'm guided what to put in so that it can give me the energy I need. And I love that each day I feel younger and more vibrant, and I do this because of how I take care of myself. And then you go into the next sections and all the way through, and it's funny because I did this and I went through all the sections. My relationship with my children and the creative endeavors. I talked about my family and my parents and what my communications were like with them, and even the ones that have passed on. I talked about money. I talked about how I show up in the world and what I'm known for and how I'm making a difference. And even if it is, I know I'm making a difference. I think all I said was, I know I'm making a difference in the lives of other women, and it is more rewarding than anything else I've ever experienced before. And then my relationship, now that's the funny one. So my relationship one talked about my relationship with my ex-husband, because I was married when I wrote it. And in this communication letter that I was writing to a pretend person, I shared that I have the relationship that little girls dream about. I remember that quote. That we go on adventures and travel, and it is with ease and grace, and we laugh the whole time. That's my favorite thing, is how much we laugh. I go into how safe I feel. I go into how celebrated I am. Now, those of you who know my story, my husband left me for another woman. And when he left, he said, I hate everything about you, especially the woo-woo bullshit. Especially your boobs. Especially how silly you are. And I went, oh, I'll change. And then that lasted less than 24 hours, and I went, no, I like this person. I like who I am. And so it's interesting because that love exited. And if you look at the relationship I have now, that's pretty much it. Like, I remember going down the list and just being floored because it was so on point. Now, the man's not even the same. Talk about changing concepts and specifics, but the emotion's the same. So in this case, focus on the emotion, because even if you don't get what you want the way you plan to get it or the way you want it to look, you're gonna get something better. And sometimes you go through a whole bunch of heavy stuff on the way to it, but you're still gonna get it, and it's still gonna be better, and it will still be worth it. I promise. I'm really excited for you to take a step forward and look at what you desire, why you desire it, and how you feel about having it. If it's too hard for you to look at all those areas and you still have trauma, then I would recommend just doing grateful for what you have. So one of the things that I loved is when I was single, I would be grateful that I had my freedom. You know, after being in a toxic relationship, I am so grateful for my freedom. And I would write freedom in my relationship section. It's okay, because you can change it tomorrow, because you'll be different tomorrow, and that means you can change it tomorrow. So I hope this has helped you open up some of those ideas and making sure that you're not forgetting about any dreams that are sitting there waiting for you to go and claim them. God never puts a spark of desire in your heart that you can't easily get. With grace and ease, please. That's my favorite. I'm so excited for this thing to come in with grace and ease, please. So I love you so much, and I will see you in the next video.